Welcome, guys, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Putridity, this new album, Morbid Ataraxia, and more things related to the Metal One in general. So we are starting by asking, how are you doing today? How is the band on the last, 10 years? Because your previous album, Ignominious Atonement, it was released in 2015. Obviously, there's an EP between of these two, but either way, there's 10 years since the last album happened.
Hello, man. Thank you for the interview. And yeah, the last album was released 10 years ago, and lots of things changed during the years. So now we have this new lineup with these guys, which I am so happy to have on board with me. And the new material is ready. New album is coming out real soon this month, and we can't be happier than this.
Okay, great, great, great. So, and that's when do you decide to write? When do you decide to write songs for this new album, for this Morbid Ataraxia? It was during the last with the previous experience with the great gory gluttony of the previous EP, or when you decided started, or when the old members entered. And mostly because when I take a look with the when I take a look with the old members entered, for example, in 2018, 2022, or when they decide to start writing songs for this new album, or it was last year.
Well, pretty much all the material was already there, and the guys for sure helped me out to assemble riffs and ideas, put them all together, and also lyric wise, we did a teamwork, which is great, and it turned to be a solid album. I think one people who doesn't know us can judge himself. The band didn't change that much because the idea is always there. It's always the original idea. So we're happy to to bring this further. Can't wait to show people new material.
Mm. Okay, okay. So, and talking about now, especially from these 10 years for difference in between each albums. So, why the bundle? Why you decide to stop 10 years the composition of the band in these 10 years with this? Obviously, we are talking. There's a P involved in the middle, but then there's 10 years since the last album was released. What are the reasons exactly? Because you said it's line changes, they change the style different.
Exactly. And this is, human material is the main thing you need to worry about when you play you want to play music.
Mhm.
If you want to play it live, you need to have people, and it wasn't that easy to find the you know trustable people, like-minded people who I can work with, who I can share the same idea to bring a project, in a certain direction. And now we have it, and yeah, okay, it's 10 years, but I I actually never stopped doing anything. I just had to put every pieces together after the lineup change. So it takes time.
Hmm. Okay, now. And how it was your entry, Manuel Andrea, to the compositions or the sound of Putridity, because you enter into both enter in 2022 when the band has a sound, and the previous album, Ignominious Autonomous, for me is a great one, a great start into the brutal death metal.
Yeah, I was contacted by Chicho late 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic, to start learning the material. And the new songs were pretty much written. The skeleton, the basis of the songs, just a bit of arranging. And but I mean, when you get in a band that's been around for almost 20 years, you get along with the sound. I was a fan of the band previously. The previous album was my favorite, so I just learned to to understand the basis of the sound, and then things started to go along to process, and this album is the result. So it's a little bit different from the last one. It's a little bit more unhinged, I would say, less standardized maybe. But yeah, just now I feel like I am part of the sound, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, I would say pretty much the same for me. Like as Manu said, we I was contacted in like during the pandemic basically, and yeah, it's just a matter of like learning the songs. But you know, usually like if you say yes to something like this, you already like the band, you already like the sound. So of course, being a listener and being like the person who actually does it on stage is not the same, but it does help. And that's the important thing. You got to do something that you like. So I was really happy with how it went, and yeah, I think the lineup now, from my side at least, from my point of view, kind of quite works quite well. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. And for this Chicho, so how do you work with the new influence from the band? Because all the time a new member brings new song, bring new sounds, bring new influence. That's completely normal. And sorry for this. And how do you work to keep or maintain the sound for Putridity with the influence with the new members?
Well, I think I can talk for the other guys. We share pretty much the same idea of
Mm.
how our sound got to turn out to be. We have always the same influences. We come from from the early death metal from 2000 and 90s. So it's the Scourge, Malignancy, and Cannibal Corpse. So always the same shit. This stuff is not something that wants to be innovative for the sake to be. It's something that we like to, and it's how we like to express ourselves. It's our form of expression, and this it it turned to be shaped in a certain way during the years, and it's good. We like it.
Mm. Okay, okay. Now, well, talking about more this morbid ataraxia, one thing that is very interesting is the cover art created by Paolo Girardi. So, how it was could they come to idea to create this new cover art under the painting from Paolo Girardi? It was the, for example, it was the label suggestion, or it was the band, or how it was the process to create the cover art for this new album.
Well, I actually met the guy at a concert, at a gig. I went to see Revenge, and he was doing an exhibition of his works. So I had the pleasure to meet him, and later, we had the idea to contact him to have his work for our artwork, and we had the idea, and he was cool with it. And he wanted to do it, so it turned out to be a masterpiece as all of his jobs.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now, well, talking about more the promotion of this new Putridity or this movie Ataraxia. So, what kind of plans do you have for this new album? Perhaps you will present more videos. Perhaps you will release more. You will embark in tours in Europe, or who knows? What kind of plans do you have for this new album? Or perhaps you're already working a new album.
Well,
We don't
well,
know.
bye, Manu, bye.
So we have stuff planned for this summer mainly, and for next year. We plan on playing more songs of the new album live, because that's the best way to promote. Uh, the album will be out, people will be listening, and then we can play the songs live. But yeah, there's a tour in Southeast Asia this summer with Japan and Indonesia. And then next year, hopefully, we'll go to the US. And Europe is always a possibility because we are here, so it doesn't take very long to plan gigs for Europe. If another band may be from the same label, like Unmerciful, that put out a new album as well,
Mhm.
if they come to Europe, then we will be happy to do a promotional tour together, playing all the new stuff.
Hmm.
All the way underground band.
Yeah, nothing like no promotional stuff, paid
Nothing.
stuff like that, ads.
No
It's
fancy stuff.
just sharing the music and playing it live for the people. That's the only thing we do.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now, well, talking about a little more about, especially the brutal death metal scene from Italy. There's a lot of bands, a great huge bands from there. Putridity, in the Excision, Septical Gorge, and other bands more, like Sumer more, also Our Penance, Flesh God Apocalypse. That at the beginning it was a brutal death metal. Now it's more than symphonic death metal. It's not more any brutal death metal. But now, so how do you see how your perspective the your scene all the time brings the sound? Do you think that the Italy has a sound? If we are speaking about the brutal death metal.
I think uh, maybe 10, 15 years ago it was more active, because now there's not many bands. There's new bands like newer bands like Unbirth, Invericund, and bands like that are still active. But mainly it's us and Indecent Excision. The other bands, yeah, Septical Gorge is dead, Anthropophagus is dead, Blasphemer is dead. But 15, 20 years ago, those bands, I think we were like, Italy was among the top scenes for brutal death metal, I think, because we always had not a fixed style, but we always took our influences, and I don't think it's better than the classics, but it's something different. We never copied anyone. All those bands never copied specifically one band. It's always original stuff. So I think Italy back then was one of the best scenes for sure.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So now, obviously, all the time, all the people that plays brutal death metal loves the terror, love the horror movies in this situation. Loves the kind of this kind of movie. That's like a common thing in all of us about this kind of music. And one thing, if we related this concept that we love the horror movies, and Putridity has 4 albums. For you, how do you relate an album for Putridity with when a movie of with a terror or with a horror movie that Putridity?
Well, ignominious atonement was supposedly to be a parallel with the first movie from David Lynch, which was Eraserhead, which is not a horror movie, but it's a sick movie for sure.
Still disturbing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The other three. So how do you relate for example, mental prolapse with one horror movie or terror movie?
Maybe not one movie, but if you read the lyrics, every song is a horror movie.
It's
Not
more like
a real proper movie, but people can make movies out of those lyrics, you know.
it
And
look like
same for Degenerating.
no, no,
This new one is pretty different. It's similar to Ignominious in the sense that it's almost a concept. So we have a theme, and we took, at least with the sample selection in the album, I took a lot of inspiration from horror movies, and I selected samples from movies, and it flows with the album. It flows with the themes, with the lyrics, and I think we did a good job selecting the themes and the samples that go along with it. So everything is horror inspired. The world is a horrible place, so that's the best horror movie.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, well, talking about especially for this morbid ataraxia again. So what is the concept behind of the morbid ataraxia, Andrea? As you are the usually create the lyrics, so how do you relate the concept of the cover art with the music and obviously the style?
Morbid ataraxia is an oxymoron, which wants to express the condition of the human, which feels safe, but he knows that it's completely sick, and this contradiction, it's all of it's all we wanted to express from the old concept for ignominious atonement about the conception and humanity itself, which morbid ataraxia, the title track, for example, it talks through l'embrione, aiutatemi,
embryo.
Embryo.
embryo,
The embryo.
which he doesn't want to be spawned out of the womb because it's the nest, and he doesn't want to get out of there. But once you get out, you keep being obsessed with the nest for the rest of your life. This is pretty much the concept within it.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, I understand for this. And now one thing that captured my attention all the time since I hear for the first time Putridity with the first album Mental Prolapse, it is since until now, all the time the blast beat is one of the topics into the music. All the time is ta 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 ta. All the music since the beginnings, a lot of blast beats. That's one thing that I love from Putridity because there is no like it is not like Deeds of Flesh or Disgorge. They have a little breakdowns or more things or less group part. It's more like the machine, or you are handing up a Kalashnikov all the time. Putridity is like that. That's a one thing that I love it for this for album, especially this new one. So for this, why do you decide to all the time create the music with Putridity? It once remember me Enmity, a band from US that is all the time ta, 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 all the time with that kind of concept. So why all the time the music from Putridity has involved or has a lot of blast beat in all songs?
There's no real reason because we like it.
We like
And
enmity, as you said. You
Yeah,
said one of the influences that best describes us, I would say.
yeah. The purpose for the band is to be the most extreme without being random. To be all the time, like you said, enmity, but take Crisium, for example. They were blast beat all the time,
Yeah.
and we just played with them, and there are big influence as well because it's the most extreme stuff that you can do, playing fast all the time. And when the break happens, the slower parts, it hits way harder when all the rest of the time it's super fast all the time. I think it's the best way to be the most extreme without being totally random. I don't like anything random except for Amity.
Okay, okay, okay. So now, how do you see now? As well, during the last one of the last questions from this interview, and very close with this. So, one thing that you can see is the brutal death metal movement since the late 90s or until 2000. It was a huge movement around the world. There are thousand records, labels, bands. I remember very well because I was there. Listen, all trying to purchase everything when I had the opportunity. But now the brutal death metal is just for the well-known people about this style. So how do you see now the brutal death metal stuff nowadays, especially where there is less records that brutal death? There's no. If I remember the 2000s, I remember 2000 has 20, 30 albums or 25 to well 20 either way. So 20, 30 albums. But now we have like the 10 albums, 5 albums. This is not bigger than that era. So how do you see the brutal death metal nowadays?
talking about my view, it's it's great because there's a lot of bands, especially older bands, they're still doing things, which is great, which means that people is really into the thing. But quality wise, there's the big names. Malignancy did a masterpiece.
Mm.
Internal Suffering did another masterpiece. This music is is going well because people into it is inspired, and we always watch up to the bands we grew up with, and we had the opportunity to play with Autopsy last year at Obscene Extreme, which was so great. Yeah, man. And it's so good. We're honored to be part of it. It's great. We're giving our contribution to remember everybody that extreme music, it's for fuck's sake to be extreme.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a niche genre. It's underground, and it's bound to be so because we will never live in a universe where most people are used to and appreciate the sound of like blast beats or growls, and that's totally fine. So I would say the peak has probably passed, and I don't think that's that bad because yeah, I mean it's great if a lot of albums are coming out, but there's still a lot of bands, as Chicho was saying, putting out great albums. There's a lot of new bands, and some of them I think are doing like really cool stuff. So I think the genre is destined to remain underground, and I don't think we will see a revival or specific, like a boom of releases. But I would say as long as good music is coming out and people are doing things, I think that's the best you can ask for. And I think I can speak for the others when I say that I would never want this genre to become huge, as in like mainstream.
Yeah, for sure. There's I get what you mean with the question, because now there are lots of young bands that are doing demos and stuff, but I agree with you in the sense that there are few albums from instead like 20 years ago that are different. There are many young bands, but they're all copying someone else. There's not many bands that have their own style, and it's not defined yet, or maybe it's just that they want to sound like someone else. And we are one of those few bands that's now 20 years old that have our own sound. Like there's not many of them anymore. There's us, there's Internal Suffering, there's Malignancy, and then there's the old bands that are playing live again now that maybe will release something new. But yeah, it's good for the genre that there's new young bands, but I think they should focus more on being themselves without copying someone else.
Okay, okay. Well, that is true. Well, guys, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. Thank you very much for your time. It was a
You.
pleasure to talk with you about this morbid atraxia and ataraxia and more things related with this, and obviously from the band. So now, perhaps do you want and congratulations on this new album. It's a huge tone and the brutal death metal stuff there from Italy all the time. Brutal death metal from Italy is great music. Perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallarium followers?
We hope to be playing soon in Latin America, uh, and we can't wait to release our new album and keep supporting the Bad Taste. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, same. I hope we play in Latin America because it's one of the best places, even for brutal death metal scenes, bands. I love South America, so call us, call us to play there, and we will come because we would love to come there. And thank you for the interview, and hope you like the new album. I think it's gonna be good, and I hope you like it. Thank you.
Yeah, we definitely love playing there, and I think all of us like a lot of bands from Latin America, so it would be awesome to go there. Hope to hope that comes true soon.
Yeah.